this sort of system, how are everyone else's incentives aligned? Or how do we bring everyone together to function in the system?
Right. So, I mean, there's a lot of players.
Yeah.
I'm a game theorist by trade, and I've actually been working most recently. I'm going to a conference in London in a little while on the intersection between economics and computer science in various ways. A very interesting conference. But I've been trying to work on a paper for that, and part of this is trying to model uh, uh, a proof of stake versus a proof of honesty chain. And it's very hard because there are lots of players and lots of strategies. So, of course, what we have to do is simplify in this case. But who are the players that we might think about in a cryptocurrency market? Well, of course, there are, you can think of Geek as a company, perhaps as a player. It's sort of amorphous. Lots of people are in that, and lots of people have different kinds of incentives within that organization. There are the holders of Geek. Some of those are speculators. They have some interests that may differ from others. Some people are interested in having a non-central bank currency just for the freedom that it provides and the protection, in this environment that is becoming increasingly scary. So I don't know how many geeks are in that category, but there's certainly a lot of people that are Bitcoiners and Ethereum heads that are absolutely in favor of this kind of controlling your financial assets and privacy. I'm very much in favor of that, of course, too, and that's one of my motivations. And then there are people that want to actually use a blockchain, and that's we're talking to quite a few people right now that want to use it in the context of showing regulatory compliance, controlling access to medical records in a way that's auditable, doing various kinds of supply chain and chain of custody, distributed business processes, and then of course micropayments and so forth. So there are these use cases, and for that, there are a lot of things you have to do to make the currency and the platform useful. So, what are the incentives here? Well, the incentives I think that are most important on the side of Geek and all of us that are trying to build the platform are, at least as I perceive them, it's to make the platform as useful as possible, to try to get as much penetration into the various use cases that Geek can help with. There's a trust deficit that exists right now in the world. There's too many people. People are not too many people. There's a lot of people, and people don't know each other. They have lots of different interests. They don't have the sense of community because they're from different places, and yet we have to somehow work together. And creating a platform that can generate these kinds of economic and even non-economic relationships without requiring trust is something I think is a very important social contribution. And so building the platform for those purposes, that's really what I'm focused on. Now, there are monetary rewards that might come with that as well, of course, and so that reinforces those incentives. But those rewards only really come if the platform is successful. If the platform is not successful, then there's nothing. So I think that what is it that Geek Corporation is getting? Start there. What we have two tracks. We've got the public track and we've got the private track. So the private track is trying to create closed instances of a private blockchain that might compete with something like Fabric, and to generate these kinds of data structures that are useful to enterprises and their customers. So there, it tracks exactly on the same line as the public in the sense that the platform is identical. It's just not publicly facing. It has to have all the same features. And so this allows us to work in the same direction without depending upon one source of incentive. Also, that private track spills over into the public track because if there is a use of this as a protocol, there are elements of things that even enterprises do that need to be public facing. These are things like reporting regulatory compliance or allowing users to actually interact instead of partners. If you have a partner, you can, another enterprise or an employee, you can put it on a closed system. But if you're trying to interact with a customer, it's got to be something the customer can see. And so that has to be an open system. So if you're already using, Oracle in your back end, you're probably going to use Oracle on your user interface.